Howdy, folks. I'm Child Brian.
I'm Amber.
Look at us. Look how young we look with this filter on. We even have a cute little snowflake. I look like I'm a 5-year-old with a beard. Yeah, let's get started. Before we begin, though, you can see that we have a 5-year-old Amber here with us today. But it's also Christmas week, and so we figure what a better way to celebrate the week of the holidays, many holidays, by having a guest with us. And our guest again is 5-year-old Amber with a bat dress.
Indeed, you can see a little bit those little bats on it. It's very cute. It has pockets too. You can't see the pockets, but I assure you there are nice spacious pockets.
So, yeah, let's get started. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Exposing the True Paternity of My Friend's Son at Her Family Gathering? This sounds so bad, I know, and I am mortified. But I had no idea what I was doing. I'm a 40-year-old female, and I was invited to stop by and see one of my dearest friends from childhood at her mother's home yesterday evening. She lives overseas, and I hadn't been in the States for years, so she wanted me to stop by even though they had other family visiting her mother as well. When I got there, my friend introduced me to a couple of her cousins and their husbands. At that point, all the kids were downstairs in the playroom, but she called her son to come up so I could meet him. Her son came and shook my hand, and I remarked how handsome he was. He had deep dimples, gorgeous hazel eyes with long lashes. Right behind him was a girl about the same age with the same eyes and dimples. I said to my friend, "Oh, I didn't know you had a daughter too. You two look like twins." The room was suddenly quiet. My friend's son corrected me and said the girl was his cousin, not his sister. My friend was shooting daggers at me with her eyes as if I'd said something terrible, and her cousin, who I'd later find out was the mother of the girl, got up and left the room looking upset. Her husband followed her. Things became so weird and awkward from that moment on. I made an excuse to leave. Only this afternoon, when my friend's younger sister called, we were also friends in school, did I find out why. So apparently, my friend had an affair with her cousin's husband when she lived with him briefly, and her son is the product of that affair. From what I was just told, she won't admit it. But everyone has suspected it because the older her son gets, the more he looks like the man. I honestly didn't notice the resemblance because last night the husband just gave me a quick wave from the far side of the room where he was watching the game. The reason the cousins, his wife, got upset and left the room is because she suspected something for years. But everyone has worked hard at convincing her that she's just paranoid and seeing a resemblance that's not there. Cause that wasn't ever gonna come out. So am I the jerk in the scenario now that I've ruined Christmas for everyone? Or at least that's how it seems because my friend won't return my calls or texts. Edited to add, the reason I made the leap in thinking the girl was my friend's daughter is that she came upstairs with the son while the other kids stayed downstairs. She was standing behind the son as if awaiting her turn to be introduced to me. Well,
I'm gonna say OP is not the jerk here.
Amber, how can you possibly say that though? She ruined Christmas by
by observing something with her eyes that no one pulled her aside beforehand and was like, oh, by the way, your friend had an affair, and so if you see a kid who looks like her son, just don't mention it. Like, it's sort of like she just, if it's that off, like, I feel so bad for the cousin in the situation because like everyone's been gaslighting her for years. Oh
Mhm.
no, there's no
Oh, no,
resemblance
no.
there. You're just seeing things. Like, and she is like all this time, and she finally has the validation. Like,
I mean, of course Christmas was going to be ruined.
yeah, it's like,
I mean, you really need to give someone a heads up if you're going to like if there's a strong resemblance that you're trying to hide from one person. I mean, it could just be like that they've convinced themselves that they don't look similar and just to kind of keep the peace.
Right.
But I mean, this was probably the worst way to go about it. It really was not good. And
Yeah. And so, like, well, first of all, if you have a big family secret like that, don't keep it. Like, they should have owned
no,
up
no,
to
no,
this a long
Amber,
time
that's
ago.
wrong. Double down when you have a
No,
family secret.
no,
Double down.
no.
Triple, double dog down.
Like the cousin deserved to know the truth that yes, her husband had an affair, and the child was the result of that affair.
Yeah.
But and this is the bad advice part. If you're going to keep those family secrets, you got to make sure that everyone, like, you cover all your bases and everyone is aware that this is the thing we're keeping from Jane so that she does not know that her husband had an affair. Like, don't do that. That's bad advice. But like,
But if you're gonna do something bad, you may as well do it right.
like, so I do not fault OP for just observing, oh, you two look like twins. Like, if they look a lot alike, then they look a lot alike.
I mean, again, like if they look so similar that she's like, "Oh, you look like twins," then they probably are siblings. Not necessarily. I mean, there are cousins who do look
Oh yeah,
similar.
like genetics are funny, and so there are cousins who just look really similar, but it sounds like Opie's friend's son looks a lot like this other dude who's not supposed to be his dad. And
Yeah, exactly.
our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to pay for dinner after my friend donated my stuffed animals?
This one's a good one, don't you think, Amber?
It's a good story to read, yes.
Do you think we should read it for the folks, or do you think we should keep them in suspense forever?
I think we'll read it to them. I'm an 18-year-old female, and my friend, who's an 18-year-old male, was in my dorm room with me, and he went over to my bed, which had my stuffed animals on it. He was like, "Whose stuffed animals are these?" I said they were mine, obviously. And then he was incredulous and was like,
Oh no, someone broke into my house and left stuffed animals on my bed.
"You're 18 years old. Why would you bring stuffed animals to college?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't I?" He said this is something that should be on r/sad cringe, and that there's zero reason why adults should have stuffed animals whatsoever. I
Zero.
was like, "Mind your own business. It's not my fault your parents never gave you stuffed animals."
Or hugged you.
Or that, yeah. So it's generally the norm for most people to have their door to their suite propped open almost 24/7. Some people close it in the middle of the night and some don't. I came back to the suite later and my roommate told me my friend had come in and taken all my stuffed animals off my bed, quote, since I asked him to. I called my friend and asked, "Where are my stuffed animals?" He said he donated them to the shelter right off campus because they're, quote, for little girls, not adults, and kids should have them. I was seeing red. My parents used to get me a stuffed animal as a souvenir every time we traveled to another country growing up. He literally donated hundreds of dollars worth of one of a kind stuffed animals that I can only get from other countries. I went to the shelter and demanded all my stuffed animals back, and I got them back, and I told my other friends he's sick in the head. When we were eating dinner, they all took a side because they said it's, quote, creepy for a grown woman to have stuffed animals. I was originally paying for the whole dinner so we wouldn't have to set up separate checks and they were going to Venmo me. After this happened, I decided to just pay for my food and leave, forcing them all to scramble figuring out how to pay. Am I the jerk for deciding not to pay after they defended his theft of my stuffed animals?
Talk about
No.
biting the hand that feeds you.
I know, yeah, it's not much not the jerk here.
I mean, sure, if someone finds it weird, that's fine. That's their preference. They can whatever, right?
It is not weird.
But the thing is this, there's lots of people who have stuffed animals. And just when you turn 18, there isn't some magic thing that happens that you have to abandon all your stuffed animals. And the thing is that some people like stuffed animals. And I mean, there are cases where people do overdo it and can do things like hoard stuffed animals and stuff like that. But generally, in this particular case, it sounds perfectly healthy. It doesn't sound like a situation of concern here. Her room isn't so full of stuffed animals that there's no walking room. So I don't know. I think that OP isn't the jerk in this situation for having stuffed animals.
Right. Well, and like her friends are siding with this guy for literally stealing and donating her stuff. It's like, That was uncool, like to the highest level.
Yeah, well, he literally stole her stuff. Like,
Because he thought he knew better what she
yeah,
should have.
he's keeping adulthood, and
And
their friends are too.
yeah, well, those are the worst kind of people. Anyone like OP, you need new friends because anyone who tells you that you have to be a certain way to be an adult, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Take it from a full-grown adult who has some.
Full grown
I
adult.
guess I don't look like a full-grown adult today, so but
Take it from a 5-year-old.
I assure you, I do have stuffed animals, and I'm actually a little older than I look.
Take it from a couple of 5-year-olds and one with a 5-year-old with a beard. You can have stuffed animals. That's all right. Yeah, I don't think OP's the jerk in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, if those people wanted you to pay for dinner, they shouldn't have been jerks to you.
Yeah. Well, they were gonna pay her back.
Well, yeah, but if they wanted you to, like, they can't expect you.
You can't expect you to stick around for the rest of the dinner. Yeah.
When they're like, yeah, no, it's so creepy. You have stuffed animals.
Let's take a break. I'll take a coffee break here. It's in the AM. It's early for us today because it's actually Sunday while we're recording this. So no tea today. Maybe we'll bring back the tea sometime soon. I don't know. I don't like using my big mug here for tea because the tea and the coffee kind of commingle flavors. Like once you start using a mug for, I feel like, coffee, it's very difficult to get that coffee taste out of it.
Which is why you shouldn't start with coffee in the first place.
Our next letter, and on that note, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for refusing to fire my personal trainer per his wife's request? Throwaway because I don't want this on my main. I'm a 43-year-old female and I hired my trainer Alex, fake name, in mid-2018 through the gym. I asked for someone who understands chronic pain because I've had it for 20 years and need help managing it. Swimming did wonders until my body began to develop negative reactions to pool chemicals, which was why I switched to the gym. Long story short, Alex helped beyond expectations. He's helped me improve so much. A few months ago, my doctor actually switched me to milder pain medications and lowered the doses too. So, as a token of appreciation, I gave Alex an early Christmas card last week with a $50 gift card. The simple message was, "Thank you for your help. Best wishes." Today, I went to solo training and a woman approached me claiming to be Alex's wife. She accused me of getting friendly with Alex and demanding that I ask the gym to switch trainers. I refused and she got aggressive. So I got the staff involved and they removed her. Later, I told friends about the incident and they said that I was disrespectful and I should have honored her wishes. Though I don't think Alex's wife's insecurity is my problem, I feel bad about possibly getting him into trouble at home. Am I the jerk? Edited to add, many of you mentioned the possibility of a stalker imposter and how I'm getting chills. Never even thought of that. I'll give the gym a call first because if it's a stalker imposter, she might harass other people too. Since I don't have Alex's private number, I'll ask the gym to give him a heads up. Then I'll talk to him when I see him next week. All right, folks. What do you think of this one?
Not the jerk. I mean, I think it's pretty customary, if you've been working with someone for years to like just give them little tokens of your appreciation. And it sounds like, I mean, this is a tremendous quality of a life improvement for OP. He's helped her find ways to manage her pain in such a way that, she's able to go down in her medication doses, take a more mild medication. Like, that's huge. And so I think that the wife or stalker, whoever she may be, was completely out of line to suggest that OP switch trainers because he's helping her manage her, chronic pain.
I don't understand this bit. What is a stalker imposter?
Just if Alex had a stalker who was posing as his wife.
Oh, I see what they're saying now. An imposter of his wife.
Yeah, so
I thought they were saying like an imposter of a stalker, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no. I think what they're suggesting is that there could be a lady at the gym who really likes Alex and poses as his wife to try and scare off his other clients.
Well, that won't do Alex very much good.
But yeah, so I mean, whether this is his actual wife or someone who is pretending to be his wife, I think they behaved inappropriately.
Well, okay, Alex is in a position of a public job. And like if you're not okay with your husband doing this, then that's not good, right? Then that's a conversation that needs to be handled in like couples therapy.
Right, because nothing OP did here was untoward. It's not like she was like, like, thank you for your help, best wishes is pretty innocuous.
Yeah.
A $50 gift card, again, it's innocuous. There's nothing in here that's like, come to my place at 7 for
Yeah,
dinner
yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Or thank you for your help.
Right, so this is just like a nice
I've
gesture.
I've enjoyed the time we've spent alone together, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, and nudge, nudge. So yeah, I agree. There's nothing untoward here.
Our next story is, am I the jerk for suggesting that my wife switch to formula so I could have more time with our son? Hey y'all, read carefully before giving your judgment. Oh no, I've
Carefully,
already judged you.
very
I've
carefully.
already judged you.
Read very carefully, folks. Keep an ear out for this one.
Reading does not help your opinion of him. So, my wife, who's a 24-year-old female, and I, a 27-year-old male, had our son 3 months ago. Luckily, as new parents, we've had less issues compared to others in our family. But what really created an issue was the fact that my wife gets way more bonding time with my son than I do. She breastfeeds and doesn't let me come anywhere near her while she's doing it, claiming that she's already in pain and I was making her stressed out with my behavior. We'll see why in a second. She promised to let me have my bonding time once she's done, but she takes a long time feeding and then the baby goes to sleep, so I get pretty much almost no time to bond with him. It all came to a head for me last night after my wife told me to leave the room while she was feeding our son because I was bothering her and making her feel stressed out with my judgmental comments, but I was just making sure she was feeding our son properly since she's dealing with stress and possible postpartum depression, and so I had to, not under doctor's recommendation though, but following my mom's advice, be present in every feeding session and make sure nothing goes wrong. And like I said before, maybe get a chance to bond with my son, but it didn't end well and I refused to leave the room. She tried to unload on me about how unsupportive and difficult I was being, but I told her she was wrong to exclude me and take away my attempt at bonding with my son, and that it's only fair that I get to have equal time she has with him, and suggested that she switch to formula so she has no way of keeping me excluded, and again, so I could get 50% of the time she has with him. She called me unreasonable and explained that even though I'm the parent too, she as a mother is essential to what our son needs and relies on, so her role is more important and she gets more time than I do simply because she's the mother. Then she explained that my request was ridiculous because she is blessed to have almost no issues with breastfeeding and switching to formula was absolutely uncalled for and cannot be afforded right now. But I disagreed and argued that she left me no choice and that she needs to respect whatever decision I make regarding our son, even if she doesn't like it and doesn't necessarily agree with it. But she argued back, saying that I'm delusional to think she'll just switch to formula to fix my hurt fifis, and even accused me of making this request so that my mom could meddle in and start feeding our son formula and have sleepovers, since she was against her breastfeeding from the start due to how weak she was before. This really had me kind of lose my cool, not gonna lie. I told her that couldn't be further from the truth. Matter of fact, I strongly believe her refusal to consider switching to formula is mainly despite my mom, not because she thinks my request was unreasonable.
No, it has nothing to do with being unreasonable.
Long story short, we kept back and forth on this argument, and she told me to drop it, but I refused because, in my opinion, she's really being selfish by how she's treating me as the other parent. So.
Oh, right. OP. Yeah, I mean, the wife is totally being selfish here.
No, you are so much in the wrong, dude.
The epitome of
No.
selfishness.
So wife is just over here trying to feed their son, and OP is backseat like you're feeding wrong.
Hey,
like you have to.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Are you feeding our son? Hey.
My mom says that I have to be here and watch over you for every feeding session.
I have to watch you. I have to watch you very carefully while you feed our child.
Like, okay, first of all, your mom needs to stay out. You need to cut your mom off of her information she has about the situation. Your mom is meddling. She's using you as a tool to meddle. So that's one issue. But secondly, I mean, your wife is right. Like, first of all, like, it sounds like she's not intentionally excluding you. It sounds like you are like backseat driving essentially with her breastfeeding. You're telling her how she's doing things wrong, and when you have
And
no experience or medical advice.
well, here's the thing: is like the way I envision this going down is she probably wouldn't care if he was in the same room
Right, if he's
spending
just,
time,
yeah,
but he's probably just being there a pest, like
yeah.
pestering her the entire time, being like, "Can I spend more time with the kid now? Can I spend more time with the kid now? Can I spend more time with the kid now?"
Right, like he's complaining about how long it takes the kid to feed, and it's like the kid is gonna eat until he's full.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's it doesn't sound like it just sounds like he's being overly butthurt over not getting to spend a little more time with the kid, and like I can understand. I actually respect him wanting to spend time with his child. I think that's great, and hopefully he's taking that to the full extent where he's doing half of the child care and as much as possible.
right. Well, and I mean, OP, his wife is right in that these first few years while she is breastfeeding, like
Yeah,
she produces something in her body that he doesn't. So, like, she doesn't necessarily get to spend a little more time, but
yeah.
those early years are going to go fast. And then, like, you'll have plenty of time to bond with the kid as a toddler, too. And
Yeah, and that's just it. It's like I can understand his frustration with the situation and not being able to help out in this situation.
yeah,
And I think that's fine. But it sounds like there's more to the situation and it has a lot to do with his mom.
yes.
And I think that the mom is the real crux of the issue and the thing that needs to kind of go.
Yes, like Opie, you need to just cut your mom off for information she has this a situation. As it does sound like your wife has a legitimate concern that she is going to try essentially parent. When she is using you as a tool
A proxy
to
parent. Yeah, parent.
do the parenting for your son, and you
Yeah.
need to stop saying the things your mom has parented to you,
Mm-hmm.
and let your wife have this thing. Like, it's, I also like how he's like, you need to let me make decisions for our
Yeah,
son, no
yeah,
matter
yeah.
what, how you feel about it.
It's like, really, guy, why should you be the sole decision maker in this household?
Like, formula is fine, but breastfeeding is also great. And it sounds like, one, it's a financial boon to you to breastfeed,
Mm-hmm.
and your wife isn't having any physical like issues with it, like a little bit of pain, but that's normal. And so if this is what works best for her, it's what makes sense.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving us a like. And if you didn't, consider giving us a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.